TV is here. That's how the Examiner headlines ran on May the 26th, 1962, when TNT9 commenced broadcasting to the population of northern Tasmania. A new era in communication was dawning for the region, one that's effects would be far-reaching and long-lasting. That was 30 years ago today. Good evening, I'm Peter Gilligan.
And I'm Dianne Massey. Tonight, as we celebrate another milestone in the history of TNT9, we'll be taking a nostalgic look at days gone by and how television has shaped the lives of northern Tasmanians.
We'll be revisiting some of the popular programs from the past, as well as the main news and sports events.
And we'll catch up with some of the faces that have become part of our daily lives over the years.
We'll also look at how television has changed, most notably in the technology that today allows us to witness events halfway around the world as they happen.
And finally, we'll be looking ahead to the coming decades, to the challenges that lie before us as we approach the 21st century.
We've come a long way since that opening transmission in 1962. There have been many trials and tribulations, but one thing's for sure, the excitement has never stopped.
By 1962, television was already well established on the mainland, and its popularity more or less guaranteed success for any station set up in northern Tasmania. Competition between contenders for the television licence was strong, but Northern Television Proprietary Limited was eventually given the go-ahead in front of TVT6 and the State Theatre Holdings Group. Managing Director Arthur Evans then had the job ahead of him to bring together the staff, engineers, buildings and equipment that were required to make it all happen. Before long, the Watchorn Street studios were well on the way to completion, and attention turned to the problem of building a transmitter on Mount Barrow. Due to the bleak winter conditions in northern Tasmania, ice formation on the antenna was a major concern. The massive build-ups could interfere with transmission and were potentially damaging if or when they fell from the tower. The solution was a fiberglass radome designed to protect the antenna and prevent ice forming. The aerial, its design unique to the southern hemisphere at the time, would serve faithfully for nearly 30 years before being replaced. As opening night approached, activity increased. Equipment was installed at the studios and final preparations made. Meanwhile, the public rushed to have their TVs installed in time for the first broadcast. Retailers and manufacturers worked double time to fill the huge demand. Many people would have to wait several weeks before receiving their television sets. Finally, the moment arrived. TNT9 began transmission.
Now opening for our first day of transmission on this Saturday, May 26, 1962. The viewing lineup commences in a few moments with the Mickey Mouse Club.
After the first scheduled program, the Governor of the day, Lord Rowallan, officially opened the station. In his speech, he predicted that TNT9 would have a tremendous impact on the region and its population. He also applauded the management and staff for their achievement, despite many difficulties, technical and otherwise, in bringing television to the north of the state. It was a grand occasion, a proud moment for all involved.
As a band of closely knit fellows, which we became, a little bit jack of too much rehearsal, and we wanted to really get our teeth into it. And on that night, we had our opportunity.
After the break, we'll take a look at television through the 60s, at the impact of television, what we watched and what made the news. Excitement and drama of opening night now behind it, TNT9 turned its attention to the task of bringing the best possible viewing to its audience. The predictions made by Governor Lord Rowallan about television's impact in the region could not have been more accurate. By November 1962, northern Tasmanian viewers held 15,000 television licences, nearly half the amount owned statewide. With numbers continuing to grow daily, it was obvious TNT9 had made its mark and television was here to stay. Some criticised the introduction of television, particularly for its adverse impact on local theatres, but generally northern Tasmanians reacted positively.
We went to Flinders Island and the great people over there. And we were treated as kings. And when we went there for a country and western program back in the mid-60s, we were treated as kings. what we would do is build a set. I was to be in charge of building sets and designing sets. What we do is dismantle it all, put it on the back of the renter truck, along with all the film equipment, our lights and everything else, and just take off. And film it all, come back and then edit it all up on film. And then about a week or two later, we would show it to air. And it was great. The response which we received from those efforts was very, very, very heartening.
Television's potential as a teaching aid in classrooms was widely recognised, as was the value of news and current affairs programs. For the first time, news of the world could be brought into the homes of Northern Tasmanians via TV. Although it was often delayed, people were able to witness history-making events. Few will forget Black Tuesday, February the 7th, 1967. In just over 5 hours, bushfire devastated southern Tasmania. The temperature topped the century mark, or more than 40 degrees on today's scale. Winds reached 100 kilometres an hour, fanning 80 fires burning from Colebrook South to Snug. Firefighters battled to save lives and property, but the ferocity of the flames was too much.
Goals 10 to Scottsdale 88, Cooey 10 goals 13.73. Donahue, tap down goes to Cooey. They get a kick, but it goes over the line and out of bounds. Here's Pascoe's kick from the back pocket position. Tasmania in front once again. They pick it up in turn through McMahon. His kick goes nowhere in particular, and South Australia tap it down. Boots going in there. One South Australian in Curly trying to win it away, but couldn't do so. Umpire Fisher of the VFL letting it go until we see Tasmania bring it out once again and shoot it in, but it's the big South Australian marking the ball.
Graham Hill goes round Mountford Corner for the last time and coasts down the finishing straight to win by just over 10 seconds from Bruce McLaren, then 28 seconds to Frank Matic, who just holds off the fast-finishing Stillwell for third place. Hill receives the laurel wreath from the Tasmanian Premier, the Honourable Eric Rees, patron of the Longford Motor Racing Association, who comments that Hill had followed in the steps of Jack Brabham, Roy Salvadori, John Surtees and Bruce McLaren, all winners at their first appearance at Longford.
Passes over to Bulldog tips in, grabs it, full one, good play by Bulldog, try to play them all. He's still got it.
Meanwhile, TNT9's emphasis on family entertainment ensured the very best programs were broadcast into the lounge rooms of a captive audience.
The Lucy Show.
I can't get the $3,000 for the down payment.
Oh, Eddie. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, I'll just have to tell Mr. Finley to sell the place to somebody else.
He can't sell it to anybody else. Tell him how much it means to you.
Mr. Finley wants cash. Where's a pug like me gonna raise $3,000?
Mr. Mooney.
What do you want?
Oh. Oh, Mr. Mooney.
Roll call.
Cheryl.
Bobby.
Annette. Karen. Cubby. Sharon. Darlene.
Tommy.
Doreen.
Roy. Jimmy.
So proudly put on your mouth, your ears. It's time to meet.
The Honeymooners was another one of our most popular shows.
Jackie Gleason. The Honeymooners.
Mother doesn't hate you, Ralph. It's just your imagination.
My imagination? My imagination? I suppose it was my imagination the day we got married. And she went around the reception telling that joke about me to everybody. I suppose that was my imagination.
What joke?
You know what joke. You remember the joke.
I don't remember, Ralph.
Oh, yes, you do. She ran around to everybody, said, I'm not losing a daughter, I'm gaining a ton.
And at the time, the highest rating program in the country was Ben Casey.
What are we going to do?
What are we going to do, Dr. Kane? You were the physician in charge. You're on duty. What are you going to do?
We have a knockout show again for you today that we're going to enjoy presenting. I hope you're going to enjoy watching.
We've just been having a laugh and a giggle because we've all been a little bit nervous, and we now know there's nothing to be nervous about.
Will you listen to me, you mule-headed maverick?
I'm listening.
He hates you, I tell you. Himself that tried to kill you, and he'll do it again. You've got to get out of here.
Down there. What about a near miss up here? You can get hit by glass or flying debris.
And go below, both of you.
For TNT9 staff and presenters, the early years were very much a learning experience.
We had an English producer, of all things, who used to run around with a stopwatch around her neck, and she used to cut out some results from the Saturday Express, as it was then, and give them to you to read on air, so you were a talking head for about 30 minutes, which must have been very boring television.
One of the early announcers, Bruce Farrer, would be frying up some supper, steak and chips, in one corner, and he'd have to read the script about something happening Sunday morning. And in the background, you'd hear this frying of sausages and chips, and he'd have to speak louder to get over the noise in the corner.
Lack of recording facilities meant local programs were broadcast live, and with live television, things don't always go according to plan, as a young David McQuiston found out.
Put on a real good show. Your people are watching you that way. Real good show.
At that stage, we didn't have specialist commentators. You were expected to be able to do everything from calling horse races to football to doing interviews. You had to get all your own information. And they started with a sports show called the Ansett Sports Results Service at 6 o'clock on a Saturday night, and you were expected to get all the results yourself, get to air, and probably with the help of a bit of footage of soccer matches from England that had occurred about 2 weeks ago. That was about it for the show.
May 26th, 1963 marked the first anniversary of TNT9, and to celebrate the event, the station presented a 3-hour variety show called Take the Cake.
And hello, and welcome everyone to our first birthday party show. And that's just what it is, a TV party.
It was the first of many birthdays for the station and provided an opportunity to have a bit of fun.
Has it gone with a bang? You're happy, we're happy. It's great.
TNT9's future looked bright, but it still had many challenges ahead. After the break, we'll look at television through the 70s, including the day the TV went colour.